So what up, it's Casper. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my latest watch from the Rocky franchise. Just finished the fourth one, so let's get straight to it. Man, absolutely after the watch, did not expect that. All I knew from Rocky 4 is that Rocky is retired and there's a reason for him to get back into the ring. In Rocky 4, we're now transitioning from Rocky Balboa is friends with Apollo Creed now, and there's a new Russian boxer that's coming to the US trying to show that he's tougher than everybody. So in this movie, Rocky Balboa is now on the side of Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed is actually gonna do a boxing match with the Russian boxer Ivan Drago. Drago is a Russian boxer. He's too strong and it's super caught me off guard. Literally, Drago kills Apollo Creed in the ring, and I couldn't believe that. After killing him in the ring, that's basically how Rocky gets back into boxing. Apollo's team is now on Rocky's side when Rocky accepts this challenge because now Apollo is dead. So Rocky Balboa ends up gaining the help from Apollo Creed's former manager on his side, which is Duke. That whole team goes with Rocky and travels to the Soviet Union to fight Drago, acting from Rocky Balboa, aka Sylvester Stallone. Stallone comes with another powerful performance. Stallone's performance in here, I just see the growth and just see more maturity from him. Whole bunch of scenes in this movie that you just feel like crazy, and Stallone puts again another great emotional performance where you feel all those emotions that he's putting out there. Stallone is such in his head after seeing Apollo Creed die, and honestly that scene was crazy. I couldn't believe that. Choosing the right words, the lines, it was written by Stallone again. So this movie, the writing was on point, everything flowed pretty well. Every scene in there was very dramatic. Did not expect Apollo to die in this movie at all. But Stallone's performance and just showing that he's in his head and blaming himself for Apollo's death, so sad but very on point. So I like the performance and I like the character growth from Stallone. In this movie, you see Stallone a lot more older. Crazy trip that I'm on the fourth one now and seeing that, automatically already saw that Stallone, obviously it's like 9 years later after the first one or something like that, but to see Stallone just older and more wiser, absolutely insane. Apollo Creed in this movie is just, it was good to see him again. It's just sad that I didn't even know that I was gonna end up liking Apollo's Creed character. You saw so much dedication. Carl Weathers on point with his acting, phenomenal job, very athlete-like and determination. He poured out all that type of focus in his acting. Very sad to see his character die, and honestly huge shocker. The way it was filmed, so brutal too. Like you were just like, bruh, if Stallone just threw the towel like literally a second before, you never know. This movie right here, he knows he still has it, but it's just one of those things where Apollo needed something to basically put him back in the ring. So when this Russian Drago dude wants to challenge a US boxer, basically challenged Balboa, Apollo's like, this is my time to shine. And also the detail of knowing that Apollo didn't know how strong Drago was and didn't know what type of opponent he was. You could see throughout the movie like, bro, you gotta put more focus and scout this dude a little bit more because you don't even know what you're dealing with. He's more confident in himself and you saw that. But crazy that the preparation to fight him felt like he had it but still needed more. Very insane. But Apollo's acting was on point. Like I said, Apollo was becoming one of my favorite characters. To see that, huge shocker, mind blown like crazy. Caught me off guard right when he popped up on the screen. James Brown is in this movie. He performed the entrance music for Apollo. Huge shocker. It was really James Brown in the movie, so that was dope. Middle of the 80s right here, so that was super dope to see that. So shout out for James Brown being in here. With Adrian, I loved her acting as well. Adrian, once again, is just stepping it up and being more comfortable, putting out that wifey feel in the movie. You could see that they're just so attached with each other, and when Rocky goes to Soviet Union, Russia, and that shocker where she comes to surprise him, I love that. It's again Adrian, good acting. I loved her performance as well. So this movie is a 1985 movie, so we're in the middle of the 80s. There's a scene where we're starting to see like in the future, and we see a robot in here. Rocky gifts that robot to Paulie for his birthday. Pretty funny too because Paulie didn't want it, but then ends up making the robot like his girlfriend. The robot was kind of random, but it made me laugh and it made me chuckle, and it was something that was new. I know it could be kind of corny and kind of weird, but for some reason I kind of liked it. What I heard about it was Stallone hated that, so there's a director's cut where Stallone takes anything that has that robot or any line that involves that robot. I have not seen the director's cut, but what I've learned from the director's cut too is literally the same runtime as the regular version. Rocky 4 is only 1 hour and 31 minutes. Huge shocker as well to see that this movie is like 2-3 minutes shorter than Rocky 3. Paulie being in this movie, I love the acting. I like how Paulie shows more appreciation, and how Paulie's interaction with the robot was pretty comedy as well. Paulie does a good job. It's good to see Paulie again on Rocky's side when he's going through all this, and seeing Paulie's reaction to adjusting to being in Russia, that he didn't like it. It was funny. The lines for Paulie, once again, they do a good job. So Paulie on point. With Tony Burden, aka Duke is actually killing it in here. Duke out of nowhere steps it up, and Duke has a crazy scene in here where he's talking to Rocky about just how he lost Apollo and how he was comparing it to losing Mickey with Rocky on like, hey, you know, we have to do it for them. But that scene right there, one of my favorite scenes, because you see Apollo's side now interacting with Rocky, and it's just crazy, the interaction out of nowhere. Very unexpected, but Tony Burden's acting in here on point. That one hype man slash motivational person you want on your side. Presence of Tony Burden helping Rocky was definitely shown. I loved how it just clicked with Rocky. Very insane to see the unexpected. You could hear Tony Burden in the background when Rocky's in the fight, like to dodge, pushing him and coaching him from the side, and you can hear the coaching and you could feel that he's there for Rocky. Ivan Drago, his character was that villain that I do not like, straight up. After what happened and what he did with Apollo, I couldn't believe what I just saw. He had me hot, and I can't believe he got me even more mad than the other characters in this Rocky franchise. Just to show that this franchise is doing a good job on every evil villain in this franchise, is making me hate them more and more. So I like how they're doing that. But Drago cheating, working out, taking steroids and all that, getting all this science tests and everything, his acting was good for just showing that you hated him. And I did not like what he did to Apollo Creed. Just pissed me off in general. I couldn't believe that. But acting was good for what it was. He didn't have to do much. He just literally just sat there and just stood there at most of the times. But the hits and the punching from him, you could see like, oh, those hurt. He did a good job on just choosing the right villain. It worked a lot. The girl who was there with him, her acting was cool. It did give the vibe that like she knew all the bad, all the low-key secret stuff that she didn't present. She was grimy, and her acting on putting that out was on point, but still didn't like her at all. This movie, basically almost the whole thing is montages. There's scenes in here where, you know, actors are performing their lines and stuff, but what I noticed is that this movie has a lot of montages. I do like the montages. I think the first one had more of like the montage of the other movies, and it just clicked into this movie. And then later when Rocky goes to Russia, there's another montage, and that was almost like 10 minutes long of a montage. But I'm not hating on the montage. I just noticed how long it was, and it wasn't a bother because, once again, Rocky is known for their montages, so this is something not new, and I was kind of expecting another montage. Gotta give props to Stallone, because I heard he overworked himself to make this project happen. During that montage, there's a scene, I love that scene where, crazy shot where Stallone goes on the mountain, and once he's on top of the mountain, he's just celebrating, not even celebrating. Once he reaches the top of the mountain, he's just saying like, Drago! That shot was dope. One thing I learned as well is that the final scene between Rocky and Drago, Stallone actually wanted both of them to actually hit each other. So a lot of those hits are choreographed, but if you look really into it, some of the hits are actually connecting and they're really punching each other. Stallone ended up going to the hospital after taking too much punches. And also I think it could be like overexhaustion and just working, just an overload work. So Stallone actually went to the hospital after that final scene of them filming it. Final match, I enjoyed it. Drago is steroid up, thinking he a boss. One thing I like about it is the whole side, the Soviet Russian side is on Drago's side. Like, this is his home base. And then you saw no one in that arena supporting Rocky. Really loved how Rocky beat his ass knowing that this dude has steroids. Just imagine if he wasn't on steroids. Really like Duke being on the side of motivating and coaching Rocky while he was there. You see the flow of the camera angle looking more like a boxing match. You do get those angles from like the other movies, but each movie is getting more enhanced with their angles, and this one right here, for me, I could definitely see more of a sports look with the camera angles. So I like that, and the detail of the punches and all that for those angles were definitely meant for those punches. Final speech is definitely a growth moment in my eyes, and just sense of like the old Rockies. Every time Rocky won, it was just straight celebration, and here more cool, calm, and collective. A speech right there, just knowing that the whole crowd wasn't on his side, and then the crowd just flipped and grew with him. This movie, even though it has crazy montages, still equally did as good as the other ones. Really give props to Stallone, because his creativity on just expanding in this world. You could see that this world feels real. The music in here, all on point, and it all fit. You do have the Eye of the Tiger, the new music that they add to Rocky 4. You can hear that 80s, straight 80s vibe. So I appreciate all that. Can't think of any other franchise that has this many movies that each one is equally or just as good. After my watching Rocky 4 out of 10, I'm gonna have to give it a 10 out of 10. So that's my movie review for the movie Rocky 4. Shout out to you guys for tuning in the video. Like and comment down below. See you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.